Over the weekend, we have seen the name Alexei Navalny in the news due to his untimely death in a Russian prison at the age of 47. Navalny was serving a prison sentence for charges of extremism and fraud, which were widely viewed as trumped-up charges resulting from his criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Alexei Navalny was a man who many thought might someday become a democratically elected leader of a future Russia. Navalny gained international recognition for his investigations into corruption among high-ranking Russian officials and his vocal criticism of the Russian government, particularly President Vladimir Putin. Navalny's activism resulted in several politically motivated arrests and convictions. In 2020, he was poisoned with a nerve agent, allegedly by Russian state agents, which nearly killed him. Navalny survived the poisoning and continued his activism until his arrest in January 2021 upon returning to Russia from Germany. His arrest sparked widespread protests both in Russia and internationally. Alexei Anatolievich Navalny was born on June 4, 1976, to parents Anatoly Navalny and Lyudmila Navalnaya. He spent his childhood in Obninsk, about 100 kilometers southwest of Moscow, and with his grandmother in Ukraine. After studying law, he graduated with a law degree from the People's Friendship University of Russia in 1998. He then studied securities and exchanges at the Financial University, graduating in 2001. Taking his first major steps into politics and activism, in 2000, Navalny joined the Russian United Democratic Party Yabloko, after a new law that would raise the electoral threshold for State Duma elections was announced. Navalny joined Yabloko and Union of Right Forces, feeling the law was unfair. Navalny was expelled from Yabloko in July 2007 for demanding the resignation of party chairman Grigory Yavlinsky. Additionally, in 2007, Navalny played a key role in the establishment of the National Russian Liberation Movement, commonly referred to as Narod, the people. The movement formed an alliance with two nationalist groups, namely the Movement Against Illegal Immigration and Great Russia. Narod was a far-right organization with a strong emphasis on immigration policy. In 2011, Navalny founded the Anti-Corruption Foundation. In December 2011, Navalny joined approximately 6,000 people in Moscow to protest parliamentary elections deemed fraudulent by the protesters. Approximately 300 people were arrested, including Navalny, who was sentenced to 15 days in jail. The arrest only seemed to embolden Navalny and his supporters and further increased his following. In March 2012, upon Putin's election as president, Navalny took part in an anti-Putin rally held at Moscow's Pushkinskaya Square, attracting an estimated crowd of 14,000 to 20,000 people. Following the rally, Navalny was apprehended by the authorities and questioned before being released. Despite arrests and government crackdowns, his organization continued to organize demonstrations and publish a series of blog posts, social media posts, and videos about the corruption of Russia's ruling elite. In 2020, Navalny was flying out of Tomsk, Siberia, and became sick, forcing the plane into an emergency landing in Omsk. European labs later verified the presence of Novichok, a Russian-made nerve agent also used to poison Sergei and Yulia Skripal in Salisbury in the UK. Had the plane not made an emergency landing, he would have died. After treatment in Germany, Navalny returned to Russia in January 2021, where he was arrested. In what was widely viewed as an attempt to discredit Navalny, he was charged with embezzling approximately $350,000 from a timber firm in 2009. The trial was widely viewed as an attempt to discredit him. He was convicted in 2013 and sentenced to 5 years in prison. The European Convention on Human Rights ruled in 2016 that the trial of Navalny and co-defendant Pyotr Ofitsarov in the Kirovlis case was unfair, saying that they were convicted of actions indistinguishable from regular commercial activity. The Russian Supreme Court nullified the previous convictions and called for a retrial, resulting in the same verdicts in February 2017. Navalny received a 5-year prison term. Returning to Moscow in 2021, after receiving treatment in Germany from the Novichok poisoning, he was arrested. Then in March of 2022, Navalny is sentenced to 9 years in a maximum security jail after being convicted on fraud charges. In August, he is sentenced to a further 19 years in prison on extremism charges. Friday, the 16th of February, according to the Russian Federal Penitentiary Service, Navalny was unwell after a walk in the prison yard and lost consciousness. The prison medics were unable to revive him. After learning of her husband's death, Navalny's wife Yulia Navalnaya stated, "I want Putin, everyone around him, Putin's friends, his government, to know that they will bear responsibility for what they did to our country, to my family, and to my husband. And this day will come very soon." Unfortunately, Navalny is latest name on a long list of people to have died as a result of their opposition to Putin's government.